Roberto Minczuk conducts the New Mexico Philharmonic, the New Mexico Symphonic Chorus, and soloist Giuseppe Verdi's great Requiem this Saturday at 6 p.m. at Popejoy Hall. Verdi came to this piece. It was originally conceived as a heartfelt tribute to the great opera composer Rossini. That concert never happened, and then a poet and nationalist hero died. But Verdi always approached the work as almost an operatic work more than just a spiritual work, didn't he?
He did, also because he was a self-proclaimed atheist. So that could not have been a work that was born from his own faith, but really from the idea of expressing all of the drama of a funeral service. And saying goodbye to a beloved one. I mean, it was first conceived to honor Rossini, which is one of the greatest Italian composers of all time, and Verdi, with another several composers from Italy, would compose each one part of the Requiem. So he composed the final part, the Liberami. But finally, that project did not go through, and he was very upset, very frustrated that they did not pay homage to Rossini on that occasion. So when his good friend, the Italian poet,
Alessandro
Manzoni passed away, so he decided to write a full Requiem in memory of this humanist and this great Italian artist, and that's how the Requiem was born. Of course, he takes the text from the traditional Latin Requiem, Mass for the dead, and he brings it to life in such a dramatic way, as he has done in all of his operas, most recently Aida, and in other operas, Nabucco, which has so much writing for the chorus. And the soloists that performed on the premiere of Verdi's Requiem were also the soloists that premiered Aida.
The Requiem was first performed at St. Mark's in Milan, and because it was in a church, it got, obviously you're not supposed to applaud, it was a very subdued reaction, but immediately it was performed at La Scala, and it was a huge success. And it's impossible for me to think of it now as a piece outside of the concert hall. I think you're right. It does. There's so much of his work as an opera composer. He brings a drama to this that's beyond what you normally hear in a traditional setting of the Requiem.
Yes, and I mean, he cannot help himself. I mean, these subjects that deal with the spiritual world are not entirely in the control of the composer. You know, many composers will speak that they don't know how they have come up with this idea or that idea. It's something that inspires them, that comes to them. And I think this happens with Verdi's Requiem. Often the artist doesn't know what he is really producing until it comes to life, until it really impacts thousands of people. And then you see the power of that artistic work. In the case of Verdi's Requiem, is a work that immediately had such profound influence on people's reactions. You know, the people were so enthusiastic about it that it was immediately performed all over, and to this day is one of the most performed sacred or choral works in the whole repertoire.
Just the Dies Irae section itself, I think, shows all of Verdi's incredible power as a composer, from the muted trumpets to the incredibly scary bass drum to the almost anxious, you don't know where you are feeling of it. Just that one section is almost a piece unto itself.
And I think he really liked that section a lot because it comes back over and over throughout the Requiem. You will hear that particular piece of music at least 4 times throughout the Requiem. So it's something very, very striking. The bass drum part is definitely the most incredible bass drum writing of any orchestral or choral work or any piece in the repertoire, for that matter. That's how striking that writing is. And this music has been used in so many ways outside the concert world, also in the soundtracks for movies, in even commercials. You will hear excerpts of the Dies Irae being played and being used.
And finally, at the end, Verdi returns to original themes. He has the Dies Irae theme in there. He returns to the original theme that started the whole work of the cellos. But at the very end, it's quiet and plaintive and almost like Verdi was unsure of where he was, even if he was an atheist. Is there maybe a little bit of Verdi wondering if he has offended?
I think so. I mean, you cannot help but think, is there a God? Will I one day have to stand before him? And you can be a strong atheist, a believer in no belief. And because I think atheism is also a very strong kind of faith. You have to believe that there is no one out there. So I think he had that, and he was a self-made man who became very prosperous, not only as a composer, but as a farmer. He owned a farm that was very lucrative. So he, in a way, he was a very modern man. Verdi accomplished everything that a normal person would wish to accomplish, which is fame, which is a brilliant career, recognition, and prosperity and richness. So but we know that these things are not everything. We're always searching for more. And this music at the very end gives us that sense of searching, and at the same time of emptiness, because death comes, and what is left, except a sort of a hope that has been worthwhile, and that you have done good, so some good to the people around you. In the case of Verdi, he has left us a legacy that will withstand for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Roberto Minczuk conducts the New Mexico Philharmonic this Saturday, 6 p.m. at Pope Joy Hall. Soloists Tony Marie Palmertree, Jill Grove, Javier Gonzalez, and Robert Pomakov. The New Mexico Symphonic Chorus, which is conducted by Roger Malone. Roberto Minczuk conducts Giuseppe Verdi's Requiem this Saturday, 6 p.m. at Pope Joy Hall.